Welcome to the Elite Power Moves podcast, where we unlock the secrets to level up in all areas of life. I'll be interviewing some of the world's top performers in their fields so that you can uncover and learn the strategies that have led to their overall success and apply it to your own life.
Pete Evans, welcome to the Elite Power Moves podcast, mate. It's an honor to have you here. We're really looking forward to sharing energy with you today.
Cheers, brother. Thanks, Mike, and g'day to everyone that's watching and listening.
You've evolved with Peter Evans' podcast, recipes, and holistic wellness rainforest-based retreat, Evolve Sanctuary. How is your passion for nurturing your mind, body, and spirit, and how have you designed your lifestyle to inspire others?
Wow, that's a big question. As simple as possible, really. It is, it's been a work in progress, and it still is. But I identified a long time ago after working in kitchens, 80 to 100 hour work weeks for 10 to 20 years, that was something that I did not wish to do for the rest of my life.
Yep.
And my my intention is to work as little as possible, but with that work, do the things that I really want to be doing, which is what I'm doing now. To be honest with you, as you mentioned, I do podcasts, so I get to interview people, and it's like my adult school. I bring in a teacher that I want to interview, and I'm the student, and I share that out to other people if they choose to listen to it or not. But that is my, I guess, one of my educational tools for myself to keep growing. Apart from that, I read quite a lot every single day, a lot about Bitcoin and a lot about health and wellness. And my wife and I have been running a wellness retreat for the last coming up to 5 years now, and we've hosted about 150 retreats over the last 5 years. And it's such a beautiful job, if you want to call it a job. I get to still cook, but I only cook. We max out at 7 to 8 guests because we want
Yep.
to keep it intimate. I do not wish to have staff at this particular point in my time because I've had staff in my previous career, and my beautiful wife Nick and I. We co-weave with our guests, and we're breathwork practitioners ourselves. Nick is a beautiful tea ceremony facilitator. And we have some of the toys here that people love to use, such as infrared saunas, float tanks, ice baths. We have a magic spring water creek that flows through the property with a waterfall, a swimming hole. We have a hot spa. We also have a magnesium swimming pool. We have red light therapy in every room. All the rooms have blue blocking lights and no Wi-Fi, no phone service. We do have Wi-Fi if people need to contact people, but it's not on the whole time for people to be bathed in that sort of EMF frequency. So yeah, so we do that maybe 2 or 3 times a month, and it's Friday to Sunday. And as I said, it's not really work as such, even though we're present and we're being here, but it's like a beautiful walk in the park with our guests, and so that's the lifestyle that we've designed for ourselves. So it's still contributing and co-creating, but it not feeling like a something that we're resistant to. It just flows so beautifully.
I think that's it's really important for a lot of busy people because everyone's busy out there and like you said, working the 100-hour work weeks. And I think I talk to all my guys all the time. We're always chasing some sort of fulfillment in life. And it sounds like you've just really connected with what sustains you. Because whenever you're doing what's in line with the universe, you don't ever feel like you're ever working. Um, and I guess the follow-up question for that is, how did you transition from that 100-hour work week and being so busy into what you're doing and what sounds like your purpose now?
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I thoroughly appreciated and thrived in that highly high pressure system environment running restaurants and owning restaurants. Me and my partners, we owned 5 restaurants that were operating at once at one time, and it had hundreds of staff and worked hard, worked really physically and mentally. Um, Pushed ourselves to the very limit. So I'm very grateful for that because it taught me, number one, what I could endure And number two, it set me up to really focus on what I want to do in the future as well. So I
Yeah.
never look back at that time and regret it. I actually am so grateful for it because it taught me so much. And also, it was the platform for me to create what I've created now, financially, financially, and also maturely, if that's the right word. Um, because you said the word fulfillment before, and it was funny when I used to host television programs for a couple of decades, and I've written 33 or 34 books now that have been number one selling publications. I would have journalists that would ask me, what's it like to be successful? And I'd always throw it back to them. I'd say, well, what is your definition of success? Because everybody has a very different definition of either success or fulfillment. And you mentioned just before you hopped on the on the podcast that you didn't have a great sleep last night. And um, one of my definitions of success is to have a great night's sleep, to wake up feeling refreshed and healthy and vibrant. And it was funny. I just jumped off the lawnmower. I just did an hour of mowing. We have 200 acres of
Yeah.
land to look after, and I really enjoy lawn mowing. But I came in. My wife had made me a beautiful breakfast of a big burger patty of offal mince. So had liver and kidneys and heart and grass-fed and finished organic beef in there. And I got 20 minutes before we recorded this podcast, and I was sitting in the sun nude, and the thought came through me just like, fuck, I feel so good. I feel so fulfilled. I feel successful at the moment because one, I enjoy what I do each and every day. And today was a strange day for me because I didn't go for a surf. And usually I go for a surf most days because that is one of the things that I know fills my cup of fulfillment or success, to be able to do the things that I want to do when I want to do them and as often as I can do them. And that to me is, for me, my definition of success. Doing the things that I want to do when I want to do them and as often as I can do them, and also being healthy and not not I also have the belief that better days are still to come,
Yeah.
and I'm turning 52 this weekend, and I do not think I've hit my peak yet. And I don't think I ever will, because I have a firm belief that the older I grow, the better it's going to become for me, even though I think it's fucking fantastic now.
I
So,
think I think that the reason I love following you, Pete, is because I think our mind is our life. Like if we have a good belief system, and I think we have this in common. Like we can wake up no matter if we had a bad sleep and feel good, and we can have gratitude. And you know, men like you will sit there in the sun and have that food and enjoy it, and just enjoy every moment, like being out in the sun, having that food, where a lot of people are just shoving the food down and not enjoying being in the present moment. I always say to the guys, I think there's 3 minutes in the morning that you can always do, which is wake up with 1 minute of gratitude and think about the things that you're happy about. Two, you can visualize your success and what you want. And three, you can do some breath work, 3 minutes of a day. And starting a day like that just means that everything is going to sort of look beautiful. Um, Pete, with decades of best-selling cookbooks, authors, TV chef, and now wellness entrepreneur, how have you evolved your leadership mindset, and what can other professionals learn from that?
wow, that's a loaded question. That's a huge question. I'll give you my take on it, and it is constantly evolving. And yeah, that's it's leadership and advice. Hmm. I reside in a place now where I believe everything is perfect at all times for every single person on their particular journey. So if somebody's really struggling in a business or a venture or a project or a relationship, I believe that is absolutely perfect for them at that particular time, because if they're not enjoying the process for whatever reason, it is an invitation to go deeper, to ask yourself the question of why have I created this for myself, and why am I going through this pain or suffering at the moment? There has to be a reason for this. There has to be a deeper lesson or remembrance or wisdom that I can create or understand from this experience. Whereas, once upon a time, I've been humbled many times actually from my presumption of telling people what to do. And I have chosen not to do that anymore, unless someone asks me a direct question relating to their particular experience that they might be having at this particular time. And the reason for that is I do not believe that anybody can hold all the answers for anybody else. And I've had to come to that through humility and through many experiences of basically slapping myself in the face, going, "You fucked up that time, brother." And, that has taught me that, again, going back into an individual's journey, who am I to say what is right and wrong for that person in that experience that they've created for themselves? Because they have created it for themselves through the choices that they've made or the choices that they haven't made. And, through that, then the individual can, I guess, create new choices to take them to where they would like to be, and they can go on that journey. And as they're going there, if things aren't resonating for them, they can re-navigate their way into a different path. And I think we all do that from the moment we're born to the moment we take our last breath. We are constantly re-navigating the choices that we have created in the past, are creating now, and the potential ones we will create in the future for ourselves. And I think that mystery of life is I would say the fountain of youth, if you choose to look at it that way, because the curiosity that you can create from these choices that we make, and the absolutely awe and wonder that comes from our choices, even if we don't know what it is. But I will say this, we can look at where we are in our life at in any particular point on our journey to where we are now, and look back and go, yep, if I didn't make that choice, I wouldn't have gotten to here, which meant I wouldn't have made that choice, which would have gotten to be there. So that's why I say everything that we've done is perfect, and
Yeah.
everything that we will do in the future will always be perfect. I don't think there are any such things as mistakes or wrong moves per se, because again, they're all opportunities to refine and ask the simple question of ourselves: is this where we want to be at this particular point in time? And from somebody that has, I used to chase a lot of things. I used to want to be seen and be heard, as you mentioned, books, television, stage shows, keynote speaking, all of those things. I would chase those things and hunt them down to create that. And now I'm going through that period of time where I no longer wish to chase or hunt these types of things, and instead just let them flow, and then make the choice, if these things come to me, whether they're in alignment with how I wish to express myself creatively and passionately. Yet at the same time, the paradox or the contradiction in that is I still tap into my intuition. It is fascinating. Yesterday, I was driving back from the surf, and I just had this download of what I want to achieve next. And achieve is such a strange weasel word, but it was like, what do I want to express next? And it was a new documentary. And I thought my documentary making days were over. And then yesterday, I just had this intuition, this gut feeling. I was like, nah, you got one left in you at this particular point in time. And this is how you do it. And I got home and I started writing it all down and the creativity was flowing. And I'm like, cool. I didn't set out to achieve to create a documentary because I felt like I needed to do it. The intuition was guiding me, like, yep, this is the moment to do this one for you. And it felt right. And as I'm writing it down, I'm like, yeah, of course, this makes total sense for where I am right now. And now the question is, how do I make it? And that therein is the mystery and the fun. It's like, oh, now I've got 10 different pathways in which this may manifest or will manifest for me. Wonder which one it's going to be, and that air of mystery is it keeps me young and youthful instead of being stressed and chasing
Yeah.
and wanting something.
I think it's an important point that you talked about, like knowing your journey of like grinding, having resilience, building businesses, achieving. And I think most people, and I'm lucky at 43 to realize it myself, like we're climbing this mountain of success and you see so many mountains climbed and at the top it's not fulfillment like we talked about before. And like it sounds like you're really in tune with yourself and obviously mentioning too, like you talked about like going through people go through certain parts of their life and being an NLP coach, I believe that sometimes we go through these parts of life of extreme stress, like for example, like the guy goes to the gym, I want to lose some weight. I'm going to go in and train. I'm going to do everything. I lose 3 kilos and put on 3 kilos of muscles, but I don't see the scales change, so nothing changes. So I'm going to go back to doing what I was before. And I think it's during those times of extreme pressure or stress that it just means that something big is going to happen. And I have never met anyone that's super successful that hasn't like powered through and created something amazing. For them to get to this place where you are in your retreats and your lifestyle that you've created. Pete, your philosophy, food is medicine, is a powerful biohack. In your experience, what simple dietary shifts deliver the biggest impact on energy, stress management, sleep quality, and mental clarity?
Yeah, that's another great question. Uh, Everybody's different, and what may work for somebody may not be the right recipe for somebody else. Um, there are some pretty basic foundations which I think we can look at, which is what I've based pretty much my last 20 cookbooks on, which is the ancestral or primal approach to eating, basically mimicking what our ancestors would have eaten way when we didn't have chronic illness and we didn't have obesity like it is now, and dementia, Alzheimer's, these mental health problems and behavioral problems as well. And it's been very well documented in the book that I always encourage or invite people to read, which is Weston A. Price's book, Physical and Nutritional Degeneration, which was written close to 100 years ago. Him and his wife studied indigenous cultures all around the world. And one thing they had in common is they basically were still eating locally, seasonally, organically. Things weren't sprayed with chemicals back then, or
Yeah.
not too many things were anyway. And they were eating nose to tail, animal animals from the land and or sea, or waterways. And so I think that's a really good starting place. Excuse me, is focus on really healthy animals, whether from land and or sea, and then eating seasonally and organically, the plant materials, if you can tolerate them.
Yeah.
There seems to be a large popularity movement with the carnivore approach these days, which is just a meat and seafood only dietary principle. And there's a reason why that seems to be gaining a lot of traction is because so much of our plant-based foods have been either genetically modified, they've been sprayed with poisons or low-level antibiotics such as glyphosate, Roundup. Um, And we're eating them in such quantities that we were pretty much never designed to do so. Um, if you read the work of somebody like Nora Gedgaudas, who wrote Primal Body, Primal Mind, she expands on the work of Weston A. Price that I was talking about before, and talks about how we have two different food sources as fuel sources. Basically, we can have our carbohydrates or our fats and proteins, and our bodies seem to thrive a lot better with burning ketones as our primary source of fuel rather than glucose, which is, you look at the modern diets of the Western populations, and most of them are on a very high carbohydrate diet, which leads to chronic inflammation, which leads to type 2 diabetes, which leads to metabolic disease, which can lead to mental health problems. Um, uh, so food is a powerful tool, and I always just keep it simple. Yes, some meat and or seafood every single day, unless I'm having a fast. And then I just incorporate and supplement with some local, organically grown fruits and vegetables, but not too much of them. And it seems to work for the majority of people. Some people can't tolerate the nightshade family, such as tomatoes, potatoes, eggplants, chilies. Some people can't tolerate nuts and seeds. Some people can't tolerate eggs. Some people can't tolerate certain shellfish or seafoods. And a lot of people have issues with oxalate high foods, such as avocados, potatoes, sweet potatoes, these types of things, because if you follow wellness influencers or you read the latest thing, yeah, people are having green smoothies, and they're sticking avocados and kiwi fruit into a smoothie every day, or in kale. And these are very high oxalate foods. And we never would have eaten an avocado every day, or a banana every day, or a kiwi fruit every day, or blueberries every day. And people think that they're eating healthy food. Um, but some of these foods have quite high I guess, dosage loads of certain chemicals, and they can play havoc with people that think they're doing the right thing. So, going back to a very simple foundation, I like to fill my plate with some meat and or seafood. Um, I vary that. Oysters, mussels, sardines, fish, and then I also love game meat, red meat of any type, good quality pork, good quality chicken, and the organ meats that come from those animals. And then whatever is local and seasonal, fruit or veg, have a little bit of that from time to time. And that seems to work really well for most people. And you know, it's a big one for people to change, because a lot of people have a habit or a habitual way of eating that they've grown up with, whether it be culturally or what mum and dad used to feed them from a very young age. And some people have been eating this way, the same thing, cereal for breakfast or toast for breakfast, and then they have their sandwich for lunch, and then at dinner time it's a pasta or it's rice or something like that. And they've been doing this for decades. So to pull out, say, grains from their diet or modern dairy from their diet is a huge one for some people to even comprehend. And all I would say is, if this interests you, maybe look at just changing one meal a week, and then when you're comfortable of changing one meal, maybe do 2 meals a week that you are pulling those food groups out. Then make it 3 times a week and 4 times a week. And then maybe in a month or two's time, you're fully switched over to being a fat burner or a ketone burner, and you're eating really good quality meat and seafood, and food has never tasted so good.
Yeah, I'm a huge. This is why I love you the most, Pete, because your philosophy on food, like, one of your cookbook books when I was younger got me into paleo, and I'm a huge fan of like organic and fresh and what our ancestors used to do. Because, as you said, like, there was no hormones pumped into the meat, there was no herbicides, pesticides, and the soils were better. And we did eat good quality meat, like it was good, like grass-fed quality meat, and working with the team in Elite Power Moves Legacy, we've done DNA testing for over 400 people, and the majority of people, like you said, they have foods that they should not be eating. Like I was eating a lot of kangaroo and different types of foods that I was eating, even just normal honey, and I was having an inflammatory response. And that's what we see today, and my ultimate goal, just so you get to know me, is I want to impact 1 million people's lives and set generational health in their family and teach people about nutrition because it's just not taught in schools. We learn from people like yourself, and I think it should be something that they bring into school. Like it should be, you got to learn how to read a nutrition label, you know. Um, like the average, like even kid these days, unfortunately, like you go to a pub to buy a dinner and there's chicken nuggets and chips, there's the hamburger and the pizza. Like there's nothing really any you can't like get away from that. And how do we start to educate people and especially our future generation, because like there's stats that show that our kids are going to be 60% less more unhealthy than us. So I think it's a really important point, and I think the thing that I love about food and is when you eat like you do and I do, you feel like you're connected to something. Like you feel like you're a part of like this food's part of you. Like I can't explain the feeling. I don't know if you've experienced that feeling, but you just feel like I feel really good. My energy's good. I sleep better. I have more energy, and like you said, the bowl of cereal, and I seen an ad on TV the other day, and the lady was I'm up to 4 o'clock in the morning making pancakes for my little one. Then the lady pushes her out, out of the way and has a bowl of Cocoa Pops and says, "We have whole grains in there." And
Mhm.
and it's got a 4-star rating, and I feel like there is like so much manipulation around like foods for people and even identity, because it is like that. You probably know someone that doesn't eat seafood because their mom didn't eat seafood and then their daughter doesn't eat seafood. And obviously I think that we're all like nutrition is one of those habits that we need to build in. And I think you see so many things like the gym challenge. And I look at it and go, that's what you're supposed to be doing all the time. It shouldn't be a challenge, it should be something that you enjoy doing, and I guess for people that are busy, especially the guys that listen to the podcast, like the executives and busy professionals, like, maybe having a structure of like instead of going to Coles and Woolies and buying the fruit and veg, like have an organic meat box turn up, have a organic veg box turn up, and then you're just buying your staples, your olive oil and other things that you need, to make sure you're getting the right fuel. But yeah, I'm a huge fan of obviously not only just now, but what it's going to look like in the future. But like I said, your theme of food is medicine, like the Okinawa Japan, is something that I really love about you. Um,
Thank you.
Pete, resilience is the theme for navigating media storms to building holistic sanctuaries. What's one personal practice or belief that's helped you bounce back stronger, in times of adversity in your life?
Yeah, resilience is a great one. Hmm. It depends on what your fears are. Some people fear not succeeding if they're creating a business or hitting their targets as a leader. And I'm trying to do this for your guests that might be listening to this. Um, when we can identify what our fears are, um, fearful of, we'll use the media as an example for so many people. Me coming under attack from the mainstream media really challenges people. And the question I always have is, why do you care what they say about you? Like, is that one of your fears that you or insecurities that you carry? Is you worry what other people think of you? Because if that is one of your fears or insecurities, then you what will that potentially prevent you from doing or saying or achieving? And for me, I that is not a fear or an insecurity for me to care what anybody else thinks of me because number one, I can't control what anyone thinks of me, and that's my greatest lesson is I can't control this. So why would I ever let it affect me? Um, and when I look at something like the media, I mean, obviously they're in the industry of creating sensationalism. And the truth is never probably one of their priorities, especially these days. I mean, you look at modern media now, and I think it's 80% of it is opinion pieces,
Yeah.
and there's a reason why they do opinion pieces so they can't get sued. And then they don't have to have the facts because it's an opinion. Um, I'll give you the challenge. Pick up any local newspaper or digital platform of a newspaper and see how many opinion pieces there are in today's articles. What you think is you're reading the news is just people's opinions, and then those opinions generally fit into a certain narrative that that newspaper holds or that media organization or whoever the shareholders are holds on that particular topic or narratives. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. And then you understand that that is the game that is being played and that is the business and industry. So the bringing it back to why would I ever get upset over something that is definitely narrative and agenda driven, that is an opinion that is backed up by other people's opinions of the same ilk. Um, I would never. Um, so identifying where your weaknesses, potential weaknesses or fears or insecurities are is a wonderful way. So resilience is, if we look at it from a business point of view, you create a business and it doesn't succeed for whatever reason it may be. It could be the wrong time. My wife, Nick, has always said, "But it would be better if we weren't always sometimes the first to do something." You know, because being the first sometimes can be really great because you're moving the needle and you become a key person of influence in that field. But sometimes you can be a few years ahead of the game, whereas if you held off, potentially when you launched your business, you're right in the right spot to hit the target audience or the market where they're at instead of being sort of flying out there by yourself all alone going, this is
Yeah.
where it's going. Trust me.
Uh-huh.
And then just because the timing mightn't have been right. I remember my wife and I, we opened 6 years ago a biohacking clinic in Byron Bay. It had cryotherapy, red light therapy, hyperbaric oxygen chambers, and more. And it was it was right at that sort of starting moment of the biohacking movement. And yeah, we were a little bit too early to succeed in that. Whereas now I'm looking around and there's so many of them that have popped up. But at the same time, what that taught us was we do not want to do that as a business anymore. It was like we didn't want to work inside. We didn't want to be open 7 days a week. It led us to open our Evolve Sanctuary, which is our wellness retreat. So that perceived failure um, was actually an invitation, an opportunity to discover what we really wanted to do at this particular point in time, which, as I said at the start of the conversation, we work, no, it's not even work, but our job now is 2 or 3 days every 2 weeks or 3 weeks and it isn't a hard slog. And we have orders for bookings that come in months in advance, so we know exactly how many people we're going to have. And it's by going through some of these um, opportunities to create a business and I could have had a victim mentality and go, geez, fuck it. Yeah, that was a failure. I'm never going to open a business again because, that just proved that I wasn't capable. Where instead it was like, okay, that didn't work for this reason. Can we create something that will work for and this reason? And so far it has.
Yeah.
And so it's I never put myself into a victim state, no matter what happens in my life, whether it be relationships, financial, popularity, you know, being on television, not being on television, selling books, not selling books, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Um, so resilience is the opportunity to continue to reevaluate what it is that you wish to express creatively. And I don't want to say it's not about giving up, because for some people, an entrepreneurial path may not be their path at this particular point in time. It may be being an employee of somebody and learning from that experience to the point where they've got the experience, they've got the desire then to become an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
I know a lot of entrepreneurs that have gone, fuck it, I'm not doing that. I just want to work for a salary and a wage for someone else and let someone else deal with all the stress of running a business. So is that person a failure because they've identified what they want to do and to reduce stress in their life, that they don't want to own a business anymore or be a leader and they just want to be a cog in the system?
Yeah.
In a system that they want to work in. I don't see that as a failure or a mistake,
Yeah. I
because
think
we can wear so many hats during our lifetime. And I've worn many hats in this experience, where I have been an employee and I have been an employer. And I'm grateful for all of those experiences. And I'm happy to work for somebody in the future if it was the right opportunity. And I'm also happy to keep creating new entrepreneurial um, opportunities when I feel um, the intuition is guiding me that way.
I really love the stuff you said there, Pete. Like, I think the first thing we learn as a kid is you should never ever let anyone control your life. It's actually James Keyes, the 7-Eleven and Blockbuster CEO, who's on the podcast who I met in Sydney a little while ago. You should never let anyone dictate who you are and what you should do. And I think, the other thing about media, I don't think I haven't listened to the radio or watched TV in a long time, because every time you turn it on, like you said, it's just hearsay and something negative, and I think that great men like you, like climbing the mountain and being successful, like you're always going to have, even myself, I've had people try and drag me down and but I think, you always find your right path. And it sounds like you've sort of just created this life of design. It's just something that you're living now and it's your purpose, So, and I absolutely love men that chase purpose. Because like you said, we can climb that mountain of success. My little philosophy is like the mountains like that belief system first. Like we have to have that belief system and identity about ourselves, and then we have the foundation of like fuel and sleep and like hydration, looking after ourselves, like the thing that we need to do to be in our optimal energy and peak performance. And then you've got the layer of stress and resilience. Like you need to be able to push through that without, being dragged back down, back to the belief system. And then obviously you've got your mental and like clarity and, how you flow and how you move the needle. And at the top is that purpose and legacy. And yeah, I'm a big fan, obviously, on you know, when you think about it, 44, 52, happy birthday for next week as well, Pete. Like
Thanks, mate.
our lives go quickly. Like we have 1,440 minutes in each day, and like we can't go back and live each day. And like you said before, like looking back and regretting, like you're never really living, or we do get those points, and I'm pretty sure you're probably a manifester energy type like me, of creating, and you come up with ideas and they sit in your stomach and you go, "Oh, this is something I really feel like I need to do," and I think that's the best way to live. Pete, at the heart of peak performance, obviously, sorry, Pete, at the heart of peak performance is purpose. How do you help people, whether it's in business, health, or leadership, find a clearer why that fuels their energy and drives their habits and transforms them to legacy?
Yeah, purpose is such an interesting word. Um, I've mentioned it a couple of times. I believe our purpose is just to express ourselves creatively with through whatever passion brings us joy. And for some, that'll be business, that'll be leadership. For others, it'll be writing a novel or creating some new code, for instance, like Satoshi did with Bitcoin. You know, that was a wonderful expression of creativity with a desired purpose. And for some, it'll be planting a forest or planting a herb garden at their home so that they've got, and I did that yesterday. I bought 10 new seedlings of herbs. And what a great thing to be able to do. And I planted them, I watered them. And for me, that was a great expression of my creativity because my purpose in that was to create a herb garden, a new one, because my last one had come to its life cycle, and now I've got the new one. And from that, I can create new delicious dishes over the next couple of months, and then I'll redo that again in a couple of months with new herbs. So going back, I think purpose is just our expression of creativity that brings us joy, and whatever that may be. As I said, for some, it is creating a business or being an entrepreneur. For others, it's singing a song. For others, it's being grateful every single day for whatever they've created in their lives. For some, it's creating a family, that is their creative expression. So I never like to, if we all did the same thing, the world would be pretty fucking bleak, I think.
Yeah.
What I love and what nature loves is biodiversity and individuality and uniqueness. I'm in awe and wonder of everybody's uniqueness, like I am in awe and wonder of nature, that it is so different. The amount of trees that I'm looking at while I'm doing this podcast out here and the birds that are singing, and I can see one just turned up right then. Just the variety. So the thing that brings me so much joy is looking at every single person on the face of the planet and every single creature and every single being in their uniqueness and respecting their uniqueness and not expecting them to be anything other than themselves, whatever that may be. And instead of getting stuck up on, I need to achieve this to be important. We do not need to be anything other than ourselves, just like the birds outside. They're just being the birds, the grass is being the grass. They do not need to do anything except to live and express themselves. And the birds do it through song. They do it through companionship, and they do it through travel and migration or whatever it may be. The grass does it by growing, and I just mowed it and it'll continue to grow. It's just a self-expression. I'm going a little deep here. But when we can take off the expectation of what we should be doing, the only thing we should be doing is being ourselves, whatever that is. And my version of me is very different from anybody else's version of themselves. And I love that. Please do not please do not try to make me like yourself.
Yeah. I
And
think
I will not do the same to you.
I think when when a lot of successful men I talk to like you, they're always giving back. And I think like you said, with everything that's around you now, they're very present. Like they're very emotionally intelligent with themselves. They know their feelings. And I think that's the best way to live, you know. Pete, I wanted to finish off with my famous rapid fire questions. So I'm going to shoot some questions over to you if that's all right.
Yeah, mate.
All right. So first one is, what's the most important lesson you've learned as a high achieving CEO?
Ooh, I think we've covered that there is no such thing as a failure.
What daily habit has the biggest impact on your productivity?
Wow, that's my biggest daily habit. I mentioned before that I love to go for a surf most days, and it's not so much that it makes me more productive, it's just that it brings me joy.
Yeah.
And so I would say do the thing that do the thing or things that bring you joy as often as you can, if you like. And if you can't do it one day, like I didn't go for a surf today, replace it with something else that you love to do. You know, it's good to be selfish.
Yeah, 100%. If you could give your younger self one piece of advice, what would it be?
Just be you, dude.
I like that. That's the best answer. What's the best investment you've ever made within your business?
The best investment, um, obviously it has to be, again, I'm going to bring it back to self. Invest in yourself.
Definitely.
Invest in you.
Yeah.
It's in whichever way that that flows for you. And it could be like you mentioned, working out or playing, nutrition. It could be reading a new book or reading books or listening to podcasts or just backing yourself. That's always a good thing.
I guess probably not now with this question, but how did you handle stress and stay focused under pressure when you were running so many restaurants?
Yeah, some good music in the background, some 80s music, never went astray, and 70s
Yeah.
music, and that seemed to
Yeah.
be a pretty good stress reliever. Is very hard to be stressed when there's some good tunes playing in the background.
I know that that music sort of soothes the savage beast. I do it all the time when I'm working. And what's one book or resource you recommend to inspiring leaders?
Wow. At this particular point in time, it would be um, the Bitcoin Standard. Yeah, that's been the most profound book I've read in the last 10 years.
I thought you may,
100%.
I thought you might have held up a couple of your cookbooks then when I asked that one too.
No, 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 no. I think yeah, I think Bitcoin is a transformative tool for leadership and business. And
Definitely.
if you haven't been watching what's been going on, especially the last couple of years, then more and more companies and businesses are putting it on their balance sheet, and there's a reason for that. And
Yep.
I invite people to discover that why that is for themselves, including ourselves.
It's definitely going to be something that's bigger in the future. But I think the smart people are onto it now. And I guess the last question I always ask the guest is, what's your drink of choice?
I have many. We're blessed because the property that we bought, one of the reasons why we bought it, one of the main reasons we bought it is it has unlimited spring water that is untainted, and it's ancient, beautiful water that just flows through our property. We get about, I think it's 10,000 liters flowing through every single day. Um, so yeah, beautiful spring water is my drink of choice.
What our ancestors used to do. Well, I love it.
Hmm.
Pete, I wanted to say thank you so much for coming in today. You're obviously an incredible man. I really, you're I don't know if this is sort of me saying thank you, but I used to be 145 kilos, before I started my three companies around wellness, and I'm transforming people's bodies, and lives, and it was actually your cookbooks that helped me to do that. So I wanted to say thank you, and that's why I'm also a big fan.
Beautiful. My
So I wanted to say
absolute,
thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
absolute pleasure, Michael, and congratulations and well done. And great to see you inspiring other people. So thanks, buddy. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in.
Thank you for tuning in today, and I hope you found the discussion useful. Our goal is to positively impact the well-being of 1 million people's lives just like you by sharing the experience and knowledge of some of the world's top performers. So you don't miss out on any key strategies to help you succeed, make sure you hit the subscribe button below. And if you think you may know someone that would benefit from this episode, join us in our mission of impacting 1 million lives and share it with your friends.